Hello, everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
great.
We got it. Can you see both screens on your computer as well? You can see the counter and myself? Perfect. Yeah. So again, welcome everybody. I'm sorry for the delay. We figured it out. We were trying to get too many things on the go, but we're ready to start. I'm going to welcome everybody else that just joined in. We're about 20 people in the Zoom and the rest on Facebook Live and on YouTube. So I'm glad to be back, dedicating this cooking session for the speedy recovery of my mom, Rachel Bat Mesodi. We'll do a blessing later on for everybody that is ill or fighting an illness or COVID. And we're ready to start. So I'm very happy to be back. First, because I missed all of your beautiful faces. I missed the connection with everybody. I missed being at the synagogue and seeing all your lovely faces. Being outside and interacting with everybody. So it's exciting. I hope you're as excited to see me as I am to see you guys. And we're going to start. So I am going to be making soup and a side. This series is going to be a 4-part series. Today, we're going to start with the first soup and the first side. And as the weeks progress, every week you'll be receiving recipes and instructions for the soup and the side that I'll be making. On top of the 4-part series, next week, we're going to have an additional Zoom and Facebook Live on Tuesday to prepare ourselves for Tu Bishvat. And I'm going to show you how to set up beautiful trays and make some fruit kebabs to entice the children to eat the fruits and to do the blessings in your home. I'm going to talk about the Tu Bishvat Seder, but as well, I'm going to be making bulgur salad because one of the 7 species for Tu Bishvat is wheat and barley, and we're going to do that as well. And then besides next Tuesday, we're going to continue with our Thursday Zoom sessions in the afternoon and getting together and cooking some beautiful soups and sides for our family. I just felt it was the right timing in the winter to feature soups because we all want something warm and something comforting to eat and to serve our loved ones. So that's the reason for the topic of the series for this month. Tu t'en vas? Non, tu dois dire bonjour à tout le monde. So 1 second, I'm going to have Daniel come and say hi to everybody before he leaves.
She always tells me to get out of the kitchen, and now she tells me to come into the kitchen. I just don't understand, you know. I wanted to say Mazel Tov to my beautiful wife for working so beautifully hard. She loves to do this kind of work, and I love eating. So the food is great, and we invite you all to our house, and we invite you all to come and celebrate with us after this pandemic. I want to say a very quick Mishe Berach, a health. First of all, for my mother-in-law, but also for each one of you and each one of you that have someone who is ill at this point, to please, I'm going to pause, please add their name in your head, out loud, whatever you want. Mishe Berach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, David, Shlomo, Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. Hu yevarech ve'yirape et hacholim ve'et hacholot. Rachel bat Mesodi, Yael bat Rachel, Rachel bat Yael, Zurika, Shema Zurika bat Yael, Michael ben Yael, ואת אברהם בן סיני, שמחה ואת כל השם ישמרם ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה וישלח ברכה ושכר בכל מעשי ידיהם, ישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים למערך איבריהם וששק ידיהם בתוך שער חולי ישראל, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף אשתה בעגלו בזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. I don't eat as fast as I speak, but I would love to tell you all, please enjoy this beautiful, beautiful kitchen, and we are going to greet you with open arms once this pandemic is over. Enjoy. Love you all. Ottawa, Montreal, and somewhere in Zimbabwe, somebody's looking at you.
I guess. So we're going to start with the cooking. And today we're making butternut squash and turmeric soup. So I chose this soup for many reasons. First of all, because everybody loves butternut squash. And there's so many different recipes for squash or vegetable soup or some kind of puree soup. And I just wanted to give you my twist on it. And one of my butternut squash soup recipe, I have several. I chose this one because this one features an ingredient that we all should be using a little bit more in our kitchen, and we all should be enjoying the health benefit of it. And it's turmeric. So I'm going to show it to you in a natural, I guess, state. If you buy it whole or fresh, it looks a little bit, I took it out. It looks a little bit like ginger from the outside, but the color is a bit different. So as you can see, they're all like both like root vegetables or herb or spice. And the inside, though, is different. So the ginger is yellowy and the turmeric is orange. Now, I wanted to feature this spice in my soup and in this week's recipe because we're in the middle of the winter, all trying to stay healthy during the pandemic and trying to cook with better ingredients and feeding our family something that can boost our immune system. And I'm sure all of you know a lot of the benefits of turmeric. And a lot of you probably know it in the powder state and use it in your cooking. Or a lot of you might already be taking vitamins and taking let me show you, taking turmeric supplement because some people feel that even if we add turmeric in our cooking, it's not enough to boost our immune system as much as if we were taking it in a vitamin form. But to start, we like to make little baby steps. And a lot of us, although we have great intentions and want to take the vitamins, we sometimes don't end up doing it. But if we add even a little bit of it in our cooking, or even cut some of it in our soups and add it in our spices when we're cooking, it's already something. I wanted to just highlight a little bit of the health benefits of turmeric. And besides it being besides turmeric boosting your immune system, it actually is an anti-inflammatory and great for joints and discomfort and stiffness. And it's great for brain health. So it boosts the level of brain hormone and helps with your memory and as well with your mental focus. So great for brain health. Great as well for cardiovascular health because it plays a role in the circulation of the blood, and it actually reduces death caused by heart problems or heart issues. I wanted to highlight a few of those health benefits because I feel they're so important. We all suffer with some kind of inflammation in our body, whether it be in our gut, whether it be in our joints. And we all, want to improve our mental health. And so many of us have heart diseases or heart problems that, just a little bit of changes in our diet can improve a lot of that. So wanted to just highlight this ingredient that I wanted to feature this week, which is turmeric. I hope you guys can actually even try to find the root version of it because it's more potent than the powder. By the time we get it in our house, it loses a little bit of our, of the health benefits. But for the purpose of today, we are going to use the powder. Now, scientists have found that turmeric, when put in the food, and the actual curcuma kind of protein that's found in that root is more absorbed if we use pepper, black pepper. So the soup today, the two main spices for the soup today is going to be turmeric and pepper. Now, it's going to have a little bit of a kick, a little bit of a spice to it when you're going to eat it. So if you're serving kids, lighten a little bit the amount of turmeric and pepper you're putting. I'm not saying that it's spicy. It just has a little bit of a kick. And it's a good kick because you feel that already the turmeric and the pepper is working to make you feel better and to boost your immune system. So I hope you get to, try this soup. It's delicious. It's very easy to prepare, and it's actually going to warm you when you eat it. Besides the soup today, the featured side is spiced herb twist. So we're going to do some kind of phyllo dough kind of stick that we're going to twirl with some spices and herbs, and we're going to bake it in the oven. And that's going to be something that I'm going to show you how to plate it and how to serve it with your family. And we're also going to be using the seeds that are found inside the butternut squash or inside the pumpkin. Most of you probably are more familiar with the pumpkin seeds as you find them in the store. But I want you, when you're peeling your pumpkin, I want you to actually save those pumpkin seeds because we're going to be able to roast them and eat them with our soup as a topping, as a spiced topping. If you don't care to do this, then use the regular pumpkin seeds and spice them the same way that I'm going to spice those ones. Okay, so the only thing you need is a cutting board and a soup pot. Today I'm going to use my electric pot, just easier for the setup so that I don't have to move between the stove and the camera. And what I want you guys to do is choose one that can contain. So if you have a pot that's big enough to actually hold about a total of 8 to 9 cups between the vegetables and the liquid, because we're going to be adding 6 cups of water to the soup on top of the vegetables. So the ingredients we're going to need today is 1 medium-sized butternut squash. I love the beautiful orange color of the squash. Gives a very deep, beautiful color to the soup, as well as, the turmeric. So it's going to have a deep, deep color. We're going to need 2 carrots. We're going to need 1 large onion. I'm going to use, or 1 medium to large onion. I'm going to use a regular Spanish onion, but feel free to use a white onion, or even I like to mix it up. I find leek gives a very good flavor to the soups and enhances a little bit the dish. And because it's from the onion family, there's nothing wrong between combining, you know, a little piece of leek and a little bit of a smaller onion to actually get a little bit more flavor. Besides that, like I said, we're going to need six cups. So I'm going to fill afterwards 6 cups of hot water. It calls for marakov, which is like a chicken-based bouillon powder, and turmeric. So we're going to use the powder version today, and black pepper. I'm going to use about half a teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, and 2 tablespoons of, I like to use a neutral olive when I'm sauteing and when I'm making the soup. So something like a canola or safflower oil would be great for that recipe. And afterwards, I'll show you what we're going to do in terms of toppings. But the toppings that we're going to do is roasted spiced pumpkin seeds, whether it's the natural one from the pumpkin that you peeled or the store-bought ones, and a bit of coconut milk that we're going to drizzle on top. It's going to be beautiful, but also the coconut milk is actually going to give a little bit of a milder kind of flavor to the soup when you're eating it, because while you're drizzling it on top of the soup and you're taking spoons, every spoon is going to have a little bit of that and the pumpkin seeds mixed together. So we're going to start. I'm going to start by peeling the onion, and you just want to dice it. It doesn't have to be too small, you know, just small, finely diced, but not too small, because we're going to blend the soup at the end. I use an immersion blender. Where's my blender? I'm going to use an immersion blender, but if you don't have that, you can also put the soup in a blender. And once you blend it in the blender, put it back in the pot and reheat it a little bit before you serve it. Okay. So right now, give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me and still see all my prepping done. So right now, as you can see, I'm just peeling and cutting my onion. Just going to bring my garbage closer to me. And also, in the Zoom group chat, if you guys have a question, you can send me the question. If you guys would like to be unmuted to give me a comment or ask me something live, then just say so in the chat, and I'll unmute you and give you the ability to chat as we go along. Right now, it's mostly, if you're cooking with me, you'll be doing the same thing as I go along. So cutting your onions and peeling and cutting your squash. And as well, if you guys throughout the video want to say a quick hello and let me know how you're feeling and how you're doing, and if everything is well and if your family is doing okay. So I'm going to start by putting 2 tablespoons of the neutral oil in my pot. I'm going to turn it on, and once it gets warm, I'm going to add the cut up onion. And while it's sauteed, I'm going to peel the squash and the carrot. So I'm just going to get the a spoon, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons tablespoon of neutral oil. I'm gonna get my plug. As you can see, I'm using, like I said today, for those who are just joining me, I'm using an electric pot so that I don't go back and forth between my oven and having to move the screen and the devices. So the reality is, many of my kids and sometimes the cantor, we're all finding ourselves in the apartment together. And I don't know if all of you know, but we've moved to be closer to the synagogue, to a smaller apartment, and we're finding it, to be even more confining than the actual confinement. But we're making the best of the situation. But now my daughter Shira is actually working while I'm doing the presentation, and so I don't have any helper today. And I'm also trying not to be too loud. And the cantor's back at the synagogue, and Michael's also on his workstation trying to do his work remotely. So trying our best, and I found that this setup was the easiest today for what we're going to be making. So I put 2 tablespoons of neutral oil in the pot. I'm turning it on. You're going to put it on medium to high at the beginning, just so that you can get the onion sauteed and translucent. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. So I'll give you the measurements for the soup powder base, and the maracop and the turmeric. So for the soup base, we're going to need 1 tablespoon. And for the turmeric, if you want to have that health effect, you do have to put a little bit in it to actually feel it. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. But like I said, if you feel that this is a little bit too much for you to begin with, you're not familiar with that spice, or if you're feeding kids and you want a little bit of a milder soup, then just reduce it to 1 tablespoon at the beginning and test it as you're going along. And then the next question, somebody's asking me how I prepare the butternut squash. And she has a great question, because some people, to soften the squash, they put it or in the microwave or in the oven, and they roast it a little bit, and then they take the flesh out. This recipe, I don't do this technique. I actually, the star ingredient, believe it or not, is turmeric in this recipe. It's not so much the butternut squash, although it's a squash soup. We want the flavor, the more intense flavor, to be the turmeric and not the squash. Although we're going to really feel the squash without having zapped it or put it in the microwave or in the oven. Now, if you feel it's hard for you to peel a squash, then go ahead and microwave it a few minutes to actually soften it. But for the sake of today, I'm going to peel it. I already took the seeds out before we started. I'm going to show you how I peel it and how I cube it, and it's actually going to go quite fast. So I'm going to add the onion to my pot. And I use a wooden spoon to actually stir everything and make sure that it's not too high, because you don't want the onions to brown and to caramelize. You really want them to only become translucent and soften. Okay, so for the sake of my soup, I know it's not in the recipe, but I'm going to add a tiny piece of leek. I like I said, the flavor that it gives. I didn't use a large onion. I only used a medium onion. So that little piece of leek just adds to the onion flavor of that soup. If you don't want to use leek, just use a large onion. The next thing that we're going to use is 2 carrots that we're going to dice. I'm going to peel the carrots. Make sure you watch your pot and you stir constantly the onions and the leeks if you're using them. I'm going to, right now, I am peeling my carrots and I'm going to dice them. And I'm going to do the same with the squash. I'm just going to give it a quick rinse. Okay, I take the top and bottom off, and I'm going to dice them and add them to the onion in the pot. It's actually a fairly simple soup. Only has, I would say, 3 ingredients in terms of vegetables. It's only onion, squash, and carrot. But the flavor is very intense because of the turmeric and the pepper, and it's actually delicious. I made a soup in advance, so you'll be able to see the finished product. One second, I have some people that are looking to get admitted into our Zoom. I'm just going to make sure that everybody's in. You don't want anyone to miss out. We're close to 25 on Zoom now and several on Facebook Live and on, hi Gladys, and on YouTube Live. Okay, so let me know if you can still see both screens. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, okay. 1 second. I just have to plug my phone. For some reason, it's showing me that it's low battery, although it was plugged. Give me a second. There we go. There. So I'm going to add my chopped up carrots. As you can see, it's just, small dice, not too small. It's going to be blended afterwards with everything else. I'm going to add that to the onions, and for myself, the little piece of leek that I put on. Okay, so that's the carrot. Give it a bit of a stir. Continue to saute it with the onion and the leek. I'm going to use a medium-sized squash. This one is a bit big, so like I said, I prepped another soup before we started this. So I used already a large that I kept the bottom piece. So I'm only going to use a little piece of this one to complete. And I'll tell you about how much of a cup. When I finish cutting it, I'll tell you how much in total you need of squash. But it's if you have a medium-sized squash, you should be fine. That's what the recipe calls for. And again, it's cubed. And if you are adventurous and would like to try it, when you're peeling it and you're cutting it, please save the seeds from inside. It's going to be surrounded by a flesh when you take it out of the squash. Just remove the seeds and take it out of the flesh, and you're left with beautiful little seeds that we're going to roast in the oven. At this point, because we're practically finished with the prepping of the soup. I'm going to turn on my oven, and I'm going to turn on my oven at 375. I'm going to let it preheat, because the next step, which is roasting the seeds and making the puff pastry herb and spice twist to go with the soup, are going to go in the oven and cook in the oven. So I want the oven to be already warm and preheated at the 375, so that as soon as we're ready to pop them in, the oven is ready. Okay, so right now all I'm doing is peeling the squash, making sure that my onions and carrots are doing well, which they are. I lowered a little bit the fire on the pot. Just watch it. I mean, ideally, you'd want to have all your prep done before you start making your soup. But because it's a cooking demonstration and I want you guys to see what I'm doing, I prepped one of the soups, but this one I wanted to show you how to cut the vegetables and how to get it ready. So as you see, I peeled it. I'm making it in pieces, and then I'm cutting it in chunks. Make sure the chunks are about the same size as the carrot, because you want all the vegetables to cook around the same time, to take around the same time to cook. Okay, so I'm going to add the pieces of squash to the carrot and the onions and the leek and the oil that I put already in there. So again, to recap for whoever just joined in, we have 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil in the pot. We have 1 large cut up onion. In my case, I put a medium one and a small piece of leek cut up in small pieces that I saute first in the oil. Then I added 2 carrots that I also peeled and diced. And now I'm dicing a medium butternut squash, and one that I reserved the seeds. Okay. Yeah, so some people are telling me in the chat that is it okay to add another vegetable? It's always okay to add another vegetable. As soon as you have, let's say, Muriel is adding parsnip. Some other people would want to maybe add a zucchini if they have, it's the base of it is the pumpkin and the carrot soup, but tweak it. I mean, this recipe can also be made as a whole vegetable soup. So squash, carrot, onion, zucchini, parsnip, whatever you have, you make a whole soup, and then you add the same spices, the turmeric, the pepper. It's still going to be delicious. Actually, might even be more delicious. I just thought today we would make a pumpkin soup, but actually go ahead and add whichever vegetable you love, because as well, since it's going to be puree, I always say anywhere you can put a vegetable where you're going to disguise it and the kids are not going to know you're serving it to them, it is great. And also for us adults who don't eat as much vegetables as we should, it's a great way to add more vegetables in our diet. And root vegetables are excellent and very nourishing during the winter time, and make great soups. I mean, I've also, if you want, go ahead and add a potato or a sweet potato to the soup. It's just going to make it more delicious and sweeter. And actually, if you want to make the soup a bit milder because of the spices we're adding a sweet potato would actually do the trick. And you can still put the quantity of turmeric that the soup calls, which is 2 tablespoons. So I'm just adding more squash. I just mixed a little bit of a different squash that I had. Butternut squash, though, is better or more flavorful and easier to chop. Those other squashes are a bit harder. I'm gonna add a little piece of this one. Like I said, I had I had 2 large squashes. So when I made the other soup, I kept the base of it, and now I'm taking the top of this one and making a medium, sort of putting everything together and making a medium. So some people are telling me, if I already have fresh turmeric, why am I using powdered turmeric in my soup? So fresh turmeric is going to flavor the soup, but not give you the nutrients when you're, well, it's going to give you the nutrients, but you're not going to be really eating it, because it's like ginger. If you're putting a piece of ginger or a piece of turmeric in your soup, you're going to remove it before you blend it. It's too fibrous to eat that way. The powder is the easiest way to actually be able to have it tint and flavor the soup, and actually being able to eat it and digest it. I use the fresh one. If you really want to use, the fresh one, go ahead and grate it instead of putting a piece in it. Grate it by using like a grater that's going to give you very fine or sort of how do you say that in English? Very small grate, and that way you can put it in the soup directly. It is more potent, so just use like a thumb size of the fresh turmeric if you're using that instead of the powder. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, so now I'm just adding the last piece of squash in the soup, and then we're going to season it and add the water. We're going to let it cook, and we're going to do the next step, or the next dish. Just trying to see if anybody else has any questions. Unfortunately, for the sake of, again, not having today somebody in the kitchen and using many platforms, so I'm going to repeat again for those that joined us at the a little bit later. We are using both or 3 platforms today. We're using Zoom, we're using the Facebook Live, and we're using YouTube Live. So it's streaming in 3 platforms. I can only see today, or right now while I'm cooking, the Zoom chat and the questions. Like I said, if somebody is on Facebook Live or somebody is on YouTube Live and would like to receive the Zoom ID and would like to join us for the next classes that are going to be next Tuesday and next Thursday on Zoom, send me a chat or a message, and once the cooking demonstration is over, I'll look at all the messages and I'll send you the link and the times for the next classes. So I have all my ingredients in here. I have my squash cut up in pieces. I have my 2 carrots cut up in pieces. I have my diced onion and a little piece of leek. I have 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of the turmeric that I'm going to add to my pot. And about a half a teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper. The next thing that's going to go is 6 cups of, it calls for boiling water, but you can put regular tap water or water that you boiled from the kettle. So I'm going to add now 6 cups of water to my soup. So this is a 2-cup measuring cup. So I'm going to use 3 of filled of that. Okay. Perfect. So I'm going to increase the temperature. If you're using a stovetop, you're going to put it now medium to high heat so that the water and the soup comes to a boil. When it comes to a boil, you're going to reduce that to a medium simmer, and you're going to cook it from between 18 and 22 minutes until you can test the squash and the carrots with a knife and that the vegetables are tender and ready to be blended. So I'm going to wait for the soup to come to a boil. Oh, and I forgot. Sorry. I also want to put 1 tablespoon of marakov, of the chicken powder. So again, 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. Saute the onions that are diced. Add the cubed medium butternut squash and 2 cubed carrots. And then add 2 tablespoons of turmeric, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 tablespoon of a chicken bouillon. Now I want to give you guys an option. This soup I'm showing you is parve or non-dairy and not meat. And but you can, feel free to make it dairy if you would like, or even by adding like butter instead of the oil when you're sauteing the onion, or by adding as well cream at the end. But in my case, I didn't want to make it dairy. And then if you want to do it meat and you want to add a little bit more nutrients, you can actually use a chicken stock, or you can actually use a bone broth or beef stock. And that way, you don't, if your stock is already flavored, you don't need the parve bouillon or the marakov that I'm adding, because instead of using water, you'll be using 6 cups of the broth of your choice. But remember that if you're doing it that way, then your soup will be meat or flesh. In my case, I want a parve so that my kids or my husband, if they're having the soup, they can have it for lunch with a dairy sandwich or a cheese sandwich, or they can even have it at supper before a meat dish. So now we're ready. The soup is boiling. I'm going to wait till it comes to a full boil, and I'll reduce. And now we're going to pass and do the roasted pumpkin seeds, and we're going to do the twist, the puff pastry twist. So I'm going to move the soup ingredients to the side. I'm going to clean my surface and clear a little bit my ingredients. Again, don't be shy. Send your questions if you have any. Or even ask me to unmute you if you want to say hi, or let me know how you're doing. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is the seeds and the twist. So I use a store-bought puff pastry. If you guys are adventurous and would like to make your own puff pastry, go right ahead. I'd like to be able to serve my family home-cooked meals every day. So I try to take as many shortcuts. I do home cooked meals, but if I can get the pastry already ready, then I'm gonna do that because it's easier. I'm just gonna get a bit of flour and I'll be right back. So I'm gonna get a little bit, I got a little bit of flour that I'm gonna put on the surface of my counter so that my puff pastry doesn't stick. And I'm just gonna grab a glass of water. I'll be right back. Daniel left me today, so I don't have my helper and no one to pour me a glass of water. Okay. Okay, so I'm back. Like I said, I have a pack of puff pastry, and I'm going to lightly flour my counter. And I keep an eye on my soup. I want to make sure that once it comes to a boil, that I lower the fire. And again, I'm going to use my wooden spoon to give it a quick stir. It already smells really, really nice. Done. My daughter's trying to come in, and for some reason,
Muriel, can you hear me?
I didn't see her.
Hi, Muriel, can you hear me?
Hold on. Let me just send her a message on my phone. Mike Ishira asked me to go back on Zoom. She was trying to log on and I didn't admit her on time. No, I don't see her anymore. She has to come back on Zoom. Come on. Okay, so here we go. I have my puff pastry. I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on top of it. And I'm going to take a rolling pin. And I'm going to roll it into like a nice rectangle. So with puff pastry, you want to make sure that you turn it around each time as you're rolling it on the counter. Turning it about, I would say 100.
Yeah.
Is that 180
914650.
Huh?
9809.
Just around so that it, and then again, adding a little bit of flour on it so it doesn't stick to the counter or to the, there it is. I'm going to admin.
Muriel?
There it is. I'm going to admit my daughter.
No, I'm at
So,
work.
we now
Muriel?
have the soup
How come
that's cooking.
How come I don't see you?
We're prepping the puff pastry twist.
Kira.
And we're going to make the
as I figured, there's some people who would like to go in and they can't go in because she doesn't admit them.
You want it to be not too thin. About, I would say, half an inch or even a little bit less, so that it cooks easily and evenly in the oven. So as you see, my dough is practically ready. Now trying to shape it, like I said, in a rectangle shape. And then I'm going to cut it to be able to, and you can do that on a wood cutting board or directly on your counter. I like to use my counter. I'm just gonna cut the edges to make it like a more even rectangle. There we go. Okay, and you can re-roll the scraps, but for now, there we go. As you can see, I have, so give me a thumbs up if you can see my square the way it is. Perfect. So it's on my counter. It's about a rectangle. Should have gone this way, but at the end it went this way, but it's still gonna work out. So on the dough, I'm going to be spreading some oil and putting the herbs and the spices, but I'm going to prepare the blend first. So, and I'm gonna mix my soup in the meantime and redo. So my soup is boiling right now, and I'm going to reduce the fire on the soup, and I'm going to let it cook for 20 minutes or about roughly until the vegetables are tender or while we get to finish this. And I'm going to cover and leave a little bit of an opening on my pot. So there it is. And I'm watching always my soup to make sure that it's doing well. So on the dough, I'm going to put, yes, on the dough, I'm going to brush 1 tablespoon of oil. This time you can use olive oil. It's going to give it a nice flavor, or you can still stick to your neutral oil. So I'm actually just brushing 1 tablespoon of oil with a pastry brush on my dough that I rolled out on the counter. And we're going to prepare seasoning and herbs to put on top. And I'm going to show you how to prepare the twist. Before we do that, I want to prepare a baking sheet. So just a large baking sheet. I'm going to line it with parchment paper. I have pre-cut parchment paper, but if not, just size it to the size of your pan. Again, I'm just lining it with parchment paper. And that's going to be ready to house our twists and to go into the oven. I'm going to get myself a bowl, and we're going to put the spices and the herbs that are going to go onto the dough. So it calls for 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. To taste, if you want to reduce the salt or the pepper, go right ahead. It's not going to really make a difference because all the other flavors are going to enhance that as well. I'm going to put a teaspoon of garlic powder. And again, not garlic salt, I use garlic powder. And I'm going to do half a teaspoon of paprika. So right now I have a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and half a teaspoon of paprika. And I'm going to do some dried and fresh herbs. So in my case, I'm going to use a little bit of dried oregano and dried rosemary or whatever herb you have on hand. So I have fresh oregano. And I'm going to do, I mean dried oregano. I'm going to do some fresh thyme. Okay, so I take stem, a branch. I'm not going to use the stem. I'm going to take only the little leaves that are attached to it. So I just rub on it and it removes the little leaves that are on it. And I'm left with the stem. If you want to leave the stem, it flavors a lot broth when you're making like a soup broth or a beef broth, and then you just discard them at the end of making your broth. So if you want, a lot of those even parsley stem and a lot of the rosemary stems, instead of discarding them when you're chopping the leaves, keep them to add flavor to your broth. So I'm just, like I said, taking only the leaves and discarding or keeping the stem for another use. There we go. I think this is enough. Okay. And I like to use a little bit of fresh garlic. The recipe that I sent to everybody, or that I'll send whoever's missing, doesn't have fresh garlic, but I like to add fresh garlic and fresh herbs when I have them on hand. So I'm going to use a garlic press, and I'm going to add 1 clove of garlic to the mixture of herb and spices. Okay. Try to get as much as you can of the garlic. There you go. I'm gonna wash my hands, guys. Okay, my soup is looking good. I'm just gonna reduce a little bit the temperature and stir it. So don't forget to go back to your soup. Watch that it doesn't overboil. Watch that everything is cooking properly, and give it a quick stir. My soup is looking great. My house is smelling really, really nice. And we're tagging along very well. So again, I have my mixture of herbs and spices and fresh garlic. I'm giving it a stir. I have in there oregano, fresh thyme, paprika, garlic powder, salt and pepper, and some fresh garlic. You can add some dried rosemary or even fresh rosemary, whatever you have on hand. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to spread that on the puff pastry. Okay, so I'm spreading all over the, try to get it everywhere. My dough is a little bit more than, a bigger pack than I normally use. That's the one that I found in the store. Maybe to my liking, I would have used a little bit more spices. Feel free afterwards to add or drizzle a little bit more if you feel you don't have enough. I'm going to use just a little bit more garlic powder. Now, again, if you're doing this soup dairy and would like to add some cheese or Parmesan on top of that, that would be the time to do this. So you could make the soup and add cream at the end, or even butter when you're sauteing the onions, and then you can add Parmesan cheese or grated mozzarella right now before you even cut it, and at the time that you're doing the seasoning of the dough. I'm going to put gloves now, and I'll show you how we prepare the dough and how we put them on the prepared cookie sheet and in the oven. Where's my knife? Okay, so we're gonna make some slices about 1 inch thick. And I just go along with a knife. Feel free to use a pizza cutter. It actually, pizza cutter works very well to slice the dough. Today I'm only using a knife, but I've used in the past pizza cutter for this, and it worked very well. Again, make sure that all your pieces have. So now we're going to take it, each piece, we're going to take them and we're going to twist them. So when I take it out of the counter, I make a twist like this, and I place it on the cookie sheet. So again, I'm going to do that with this one. I'm going to twist, 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 and put it on the cookie sheet. So I'm going to do that with all of them. Okay. It doesn't really take too much time. And we normally have a bit of time while the soup cooks. So I just find it's a great time to do a side that can complement the soup. And we don't really all the time find, an option to serve. We sometimes just cut a piece of bread or something, but this is a more fun way to actually complement the soup. And the kids actually love it. So some people are telling me, can you leave out the garlic or the pepper if you want in the herbs? You can leave out anything you want. Make it your own. Use the spices and the herbs that you like to eat, the ones that you have in your house. Don't go out and get out of the way to, pick up something just because you don't have it in the house. It's a very easy recipe to actually tweak and change up. Like I said, for the soup, feel free to change up some of the vegetables or add sweet potatoes, zucchini, parsnip, whatever you have in hand to make it your own. You're going to enjoy it, and your family is going to enjoy it more if you actually use ingredients that you like to eat and that you're more familiar with. Now, if you feel adventurous and you want to try something new, then I encourage you. Again, if you're serving kids and you feel that 2 tablespoons, of the turmeric and the half a teaspoon of pepper is too much and will make the soup too spicy, reduce the quantity. Try a little bit at the beginning, and then if you feel that it's not enough or you can actually use a little bit more, then go right ahead. The sky's the limit with this. I'm just giving you the base, you make it your own. Again, like I'm telling you, once you take it off, I fold it and I twist them around. So now I have my tray with all my twists. As you can see, I'm going to clean the surface of my counter first, and then I'm going to show you how they look. Give me a minute. I'm just going to put my stuff on the side. Okay. Okay, so I've cleaned my surface, and now I'm going to show you so there we go. Can you all see my twist? Give me a heads up, a thumbs up. Yeah, we're good. So as you can see, it came out about a dozen twists with this recipe, depending on how large you cut them, but about an inch wide. Now, the recipe that I sent to everybody just tells you to bake it this way. And I did this because a lot of people these days are vegan and are not using eggs or trying to, limit. But I like the way that the egg golden the puff pastry when I bake it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break an egg and mix it, and I'm going to actually brush the top of the puff pastry twist before I put them in the oven. So give me a minute. I'm just going to check my egg. Always check your egg to make sure it doesn't have a blood stain. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly brush my puff pastry twists with a little bit of egg wash. And again, just because I'd like to have a deeper color. But again, you don't need it. It can go straight in the oven. Again, I have my oven preheated to 375. It's already hot and at the temperature that I wanted. I'm going to place my twist in the middle rack of the oven so that it doesn't burn and it cooks properly. Try to leave a little bit of space between the twists because they are going to increase in size or puff up. Okay, there we go. So they're ready to go into the oven. I'm going to put them in the oven, and I'm going to put about, I'm going to start with 11 minutes, and then I'm going to check them out. So we're going to do the seeds now, and I'm going to show you how to serve the soup and what to do to garnish it. Okay. So my soup is practically ready. It smells really, really delicious. And so the only thing that we have left to do is season and roast the seeds. For that, I'm just going to use a little bit of turmeric and pepper, but I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder to it because I just love the taste. So a little bit of garlic powder, fresh cracked pepper, a little bit, I would say half a teaspoon of turmeric, or up to 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Mix it all up. As you can see, they're seasoned now. I'm going to put them in the oven just about 9 minutes while we blend the soup and plate and show you how the end product is going to look like. So I'm going to take another smaller cookie sheet. And because this calls for 9 minutes and I put about, it's going to be a total of 15 minutes for the twist, but I put about 11 minutes. And by the time I put this, we're going to be now down to 9 or 8 minutes left. So it's going to be just the time that my timer is going to go up and my seeds are going to be ready. So spread them very well on the cookie sheet. Can you still see? Give me a thumbs up if you can see the seeds and my surface. Perfect. So if you don't want to use the seeds from the pumpkin, use the ones that you buy and season them the same way. But as you can see, this is a great alternative and very nutritious. So hold on. Let me just put it in the very nutritious. So why waste the inside when you can use them and roast them? So just to recap a little bit, because we sometimes have people that join us a little bit later. So we made a pumpkin and turmeric soup, and we made spiced and herb puff pastry twist to serve with the soup. And now we're roasting sunflower seeds to put as a topping, which we're going to add with the coconut milk. I'm going to repeat the ingredients that went into the soup. We have 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil that we put on the bottom of the pot. And we added a diced onion and sauteed that. We don't want the onion to brown. We just want it to become translucent. And we then added 1 medium butternut squash, peeled and cut into 1-inch pieces, and 2 carrots peeled and cut into 1-inch pieces. Leave or keep the seeds of the inside of the butternut squash because that's what's in the oven now roasting to be used as a topping. We then added 1 tablespoon of chicken flavored powder, 2 tablespoons of turmeric, and half a teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, and 6 cups of hot water. We stirred and brought the soup to a boil, and we're leaving it to cook for 20 minutes. It's actually ready now, and it's looking really, really delicious. You're going to take an immersion blender. So in my case, I have an immersion blender, and you put the immersion blender directly in the pot. You turn it off, you put it in the pot, you blend it until it's completely smooth. I'm going to show you the end result because I already have a soup that's ready. So I have a soup that's ready. The color is beautiful. It'll thicken a little bit as it sits. If you really wanted a tiny bit more liquidy, just add like a drop of water, but it's really beautiful. The color is intense. The smell is great. The flavor is delicious. And I'm going to show you now how to plate it. And by the time we plate it, the twists and the seeds are going to be ready, and we're going to see the finished product. So let me just go get a bowl. Again, feel free to ask me some question. I have somebody asking me a question. They want to have the recipe. So I'm going to send whoever didn't get the email from the synagogue, send me your email in the chat or in Facebook Live or YouTube, and I'll be sending you the recipe and the instruction and the dates for my next cooking demos. So right now I'm just going to get a nice bowl. Give me a second, I'll be right back. And I'm going to show you how to plate all of this. So I'm going to use a bowl, whichever size it is. I'm going to show you how to plate it, and I'm going to show you the finished product of the twist and the seeds. I'm just going to actually now, for the sake of the room that I have, I'm going to ladle the soup in the bowl, and I'll be right back. So as you can see, the soup has a really velvety texture, a beautiful color. The smell is divine. And again, you're eating something that's good for your body, good for your gut, that's going to heal you. And it's going to comfort you with this cold weather, with everything that's going on outside in the world. It's going to bring a little bit of, feel good feeling to yourself and to the family and to your loved ones that you're serving. So I really encourage you to try it. Mix it up, do whatever you want, put all the vegetables that you really would like to use. Sorry, just trying to not lose you guys on the screen. Okay, so let me just check. My twists are about to be ready. I have people asking me for the email, which I'll send. Again, I'll look at all the chats. If anybody wants to say hi, send me on the chat a request to unmute you. I would love to hear from you and, get a little bit of information on what you're doing these days to keep, happy and sane, and hoping that you guys are healthy, not feeling blue. I know it's we're deep in the winter right now, and a lot of us are feeling the effect not only on the virus and the pandemic, but on the winter. I want to make sure that you guys are well. If you need anything, reach out to myself or to my husband, Muriel Benlolo. Make sure that you know that there are some organizations out there and phone numbers and ways to actually deal with everything that's going on. And I would love to share that information with you guys. So if all of you have at any point anything that is concerning or bothering you, reach out. You know that we're here for you. Okay, so I have again some requests from people that are not that did not receive the email from the synagogue that would love the recipe. I'll send that over to everybody, and hopefully I won't miss anyone. Reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram if you do have a question or you missed the Zoom presentation or the live. and would like the email with the recipes or even my Zoom ID for the next presentation. So my seeds are ready. I'm going to show you how they look. I'm going to just get a dishcloth to take them out of the oven. Sure enough, I think my phone is going to die. Okay. So you want to take the seeds out around 9 minutes because you don't want the spices to actually burn or have a bitter taste. Really make sure not to leave them too much in the oven. Okay, my twist actually need just a couple more minutes, but look how beautiful. They're already puffed up and the smell is delicious. It took 2 seconds to unroll and put the spices or prepare the little mix on it. But when you're going to bring the soup to the table with a little bit of toppings on top, and you're going to add the twists to the plate, and everybody's going to get to dip that in the soup and enjoy it with it. It's going to elevate your dish and going to make it so much more delicious. And people are going to say, wow. And then in your mind, you're going to say, well, it took me just 2 seconds. And I only, had a pack of frozen puff pastry that I thawed and unrolled it and cut it up, twisted it. Like, it actually was fun. It releases a little bit of the tension and the stress. You just work with your hands. It's always magic. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tablespoon of my roasted pumpkin seeds. I'm going to top it on. I'm hoping that you guys can see how beautiful it looks. And feel free to use the ones that you buy in the store. Then I'm going to take a can. I'm using light coconut milk, but you can use regular coconut milk. And I'm going to actually mix and drizzle on top of the soup. First for effect, for the color. Second, because it's going to give it a nutty kind of mild flavor to my soup. I'm going to show you. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful this looks. It's really amazing. When you're going to take a spoon of the soup, you're going to have a little bit of the coconut flavor, a little bit of the seeds, a little bit of the soup. It's going to be beautiful. So right now, I'm just going to check just 1 more minute, check on my twists and see how they're doing. I really would love to show you the finishing product. Again, I would say 3-4 minutes more. I'd love to hear from you guys while we wait for the twist to finish getting ready. So if you'd like to say hi, or if you have a question, let me know. I can unmute you. We're still a nice, beautiful little crowd. Who wants to say hi? Unmute yourself if you want to say hi, if you want to tell me how you are. If you're
Hi,
going to try.
Muriel.
Hi, Angèle. How are you?
Oh, I just want to ask you about the seeds.
I can't hear you very well.
Okay.
Increase the volume.
Okay. It's okay after. I will call you after. So. No, I just say the seeds. Does it stay with the thing, with the white thing?
Hold on, let me just see if I can actually. I can't increase your volume from here, but on your computer, can you increase the volume?
Yeah, I can.
Do you have a question? You want to tell me how you are and say hello? I think you're unmuted. Francine?
She wanted to know
Oh, I can't hear you also very well. Hold on. Let me just see if I can increase the volume of my phone. Hold on.
Video.
Okay, try again.
I think if I can interpret her question, she wanted to know, can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, this lady here. Angeli,
Yes. You want me to unmute what?
tell her your question.
Oh, you want me to tell her or you?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. No, Muriel, I just want the seeds that you put in the oven. You leave the what do you call it? The cover on it, or you have
Yeah,
to take
the
it the
shell,
white-
the shell. Yeah, you leave
the
it
shell.
the way.
Yeah, the shell.
Yeah. So the
You
seed
don't.
is actually the way you clean it. All I do
Well, it's very soft
the flesh
actually.
that's
Yeah.
around it, but I
Yeah.
take the seed, I let them dry on I let them
Yeah.
dry a little bit, and then literally I season them and I bake
And
them.
you-
And when you bake them,
Yeah, they're very soft.
like a pipite, like
Yeah,
what you buy
yeah.
in the store. It's actually delicious and lovely,
It is.
but
It is especially.
tastier than the ones that you buy.
Sure, it's fresh.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Muriel. Thank you.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Just to say, Michelle, I am
Hi.
again.
Hi, Gladys. We're going to wait for Francine and then I'll take your question.
I just wanted to tell you that, seeing that we have to be isolated, this is a great way to interact with people
Yeah.
and motivated by what we can do. I want to congratulate you, and I want to tell you my sincere thanks for your time that you're doing this and
Thank you. I
wonderful
we
stuff.
actually miss the interaction more than you guys. Because always out with and about with my husband and in the community, going to events, doing concerts with our choir, being indoors, and especially in the smaller space that we are in now, feel even more the need to be in contact and in touch with you guys. And this is such a great way because, first of all, I got a great, part of my dinner already ready, and it's only like 3:40 in the afternoon. And second of all, I get to see all your lovely faces. I get to say hi. I get to see, ask you how you're doing. It's just a great way. I read something recently in an article from a rabbi from a synagogue, a local synagogue in town. And he was saying, at the beginning of the pandemic, his synagogue members told him, well, Rabbi, what are you waiting for? Let's go on Zoom. I mean, we're locked down. Nobody was doing anything that first weekend. And one person said, let's go on Zoom. We really need to resume doing prayers. And the rabbi said to his member, he said, well, what's the point in going on Zoom if we can't even form a minyan because we're not in the same place? We can't be together really to, help people to say Kaddish or anything. What's really the point? And believe it or not, it took him several weeks and several months to come to the reality where now we're confined again. We're back in our homes. He noticed the need for his congregation to be in contact with him, even if it wasn't physical, and even if it wasn't, the ability to touch or to be with someone, but just the contact and the connection, the fact that I'm able to talk to somebody and not the wall, the fact that there's somebody else besides my kids and my husband that's willing to interact with me. Well, that rabbi noticed that as well. And also just the fact that some people and some of us don't have the luxury of being with others in the house. Some of us are on our own. Some of us are or widowed, or some of us are just students or people that are living on their own. And it's very important for them to have that connection with others. So I thank you more than you thank me for coming in to my kitchen and cooking with me. So I'm actually just going to have a quick look at at the twist, which I feel are probably ready. I'm going to move this 2 seconds. Give me a minute. It's all about timing. I don't want to burn anything. I don't want to ruin anything, but I want to show you how you serve it afterwards. So my bowl is a bit big, but the idea is that on the edge of the bowl, you put a couple of pieces of twist like that with the seeds and the coconut milk on in the soup, and you bring it and you serve it to your family that way. They get to take the sticks, dip it in the soup, eat it with it. It's so much tastier than a piece of bread and so much fun. The kids are going to enjoy it and you're going to enjoy it. I mean, it's a simple way to enhance your dinner, and such a fun way to serve the soup. And actually, even for a fancy dinner, it looks really beautiful.
Very nice.
It looks really great. So I hope you're going to get to try the soup. I hope you're going to get to try the twist and even the seeds. Try to reserve the inside of the pumpkin and not use the commercial ones. Those seeds that we made today together are so much tastier, and they're really small and easy to eat and really tasty and great. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I send
Bye.
virtual hugs and kisses to all of you. I miss you guys. I can't wait to see you guys in person. Once I get the vaccine and you guys are safe, I will give you the biggest hug. Even my kids at home, because they're working outside, sometimes they look at me, and my son Michael, he says, "Mom, can I kiss you today?" I'm like, "Oh, not yet. I'm so afraid. I'm waiting for a new arrival of a new baby, and I have my little grandson, and I just want to keep safe. I have, we all have a lot to look forward, and we just have to wait a little bit longer and just stick together so that we can get to the finish line." So again,
Thank you very much.
Okay. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. Don't miss next Tuesday at 2:00. We're going to have an additional cooking demonstration on Tu Bishvat. So we are going to, let me just admit more people. So we are going to do a special presentation for Tu Bishvat. I am going to show you how to present your fruits, your dried fruits, and talk about the Seder and the 7 species for Tu Bishvat. I'm going to show you that on Tuesday, because if you guys are part of the Spanish and Portuguese congregation and receive your emails, you know that Rabbi Pinto and Cantor Benlolo are going to have a program on Wednesday. If you guys have ordered your or ordering your boxes for Shvat, you're going to be receiving on Wednesday afternoon boxes with ingredients for the Tu Bishvat Seder. Well, on Tuesday, I'm going to show you what to do with those boxes. I'm going to show you how to display it, how to present it nicely, how to also prepare some fruit kebabs for your kids so that they can, be encouraged to eat fruits. And I'm also going to make a delicious barley or bulgur, whichever I have, salad. And I'm going to show you how to plate it and how to serve it as well the night of Tu Bishvat, when we're going to be doing the program and the Seder. And hopefully you get to do a Seder for your family and your loved ones. And even if you're by yourself, or if you're just you and your spouse, or living with your children, then It's always important to connect, and that way you'll be able to be with us, with my husband, with Rabbi Pinto, and enjoy Tu Bishvat. And then don't miss, next Thursday at 2:00, we'll have our next second part of our series, Cooking with Muriel. We're going to be making another soup and another side. I'll be sending the email with the recipes, but watch out for the synagogue emails. And if not, go onto my Facebook page or on Cantor Benlolo's Facebook page, click on the link, and you'll be able to be directed to the synagogue website, and all the recipes and all the instructions are going to be on there.
Okay.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. Take care.
You guys enjoy.
Bye. Thank
And
you.
I'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Shabbat shalom to everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Stay safe and healthy. I love you guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Muriel.
Bye.
Bye.
Great presentation. I'm very happy to see you again.
Yes, me
Be
too.
well.
It is.
Be
safe.
well, and we want to see you always.
Yes, it's always nice to see you
Thank
guys
you.
and share. I'm very happy you guys joined me. Bye, Rita. Bye, Angèle.
Okay.
Bye, Francine.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Mona. Bye,
Thank you.
Marcy, Marlene. Bye, Jacques.
Bye, bye, Muriel.
Name on the screen, but bye, Rosalind. Bye, everybody. I can't wait to see you guys next week, and Shabbat Shalom again.
Shabbat shalom. Hi, Vivi.